So what is marketing, folks? What is marketing? You can phone a friend if it's interesting for you. Okay. Have we got one? Come on, you must know. You've all turned up for a talk on it, for goodness sake. Anybody? Selling, okay. And if we did a vox pop on the streets of Salford and Manchester, we'd hear selling, advertising, promotion. It's kind of posh for selling, advertising and promotion, isn't it? And if we said, what's the difference between a marketing director and a sales director? About 10,000 a year. Yeah. Same job, just a posher job title. Well, actually, folks, if you take away one thing from me tonight, please take away the fact that marketing is not posh for sales, promotion, advertising. It's a totally different discipline in many, many ways, because marketing is running your business, your practice, from the customer's point of view, okay? Promotion, advertising, selling are part of the marketing family, but as we will see, actually relatively unimportant, actually. Okay, relatively unimportant. There are many other things which carry bigger importance. So we see it illustrated on this little graphic here. Selling starts with the product, says who can I go and flog it to, and you get your profit from sales. Whereas marketing starts with the customer, says what can I do to satisfy the customer with a whole series of integrated services, which could include your promotional tools, and you get profit from customer satisfaction. Okay? So marketing and selling differ a little bit. Selling is making people buy what you want to sell. Selling is making people buy what you want to sell. Marketing is making and selling what people want to buy. Because Adam Smith, an economist, some say the father of economics, said consumption is the sole end purpose of all production. Why are you in business if it's not to create and retain customers? If that's your purpose, start with the customer at the centre of your thinking. So tell me a company you feel good about, one that you like to buy from. Got 2 lives left. Waitrose. Why do you like Waitrose? Lovely atmosphere. Good quality food. Well packaged. Fantastic. Okay then, that's brilliant. I actually quite like these new airlines. And in fact, if you'd flown from Manchester Airport 25 years ago, you'd be paying more even in real terms than you are today. These people have not changed the mindset of a few customers or a few employees. They've changed the mindset of a whole industry, a phenomenally powerful industry. They've created a whole new business model. Okay? Who remembers travel agents? Who remembers 6-part ticket sets? Yeah? These guys have really re-engineered an industry, but actually I just think their service is not that much different to BA. They're generally timely. They've got a clean, modern fleet of airliners, and actually they're very, very good on a key performance indicator of airlines. They've had the same number of landings as takeoffs. Now, has anyone seen the new offer from Ryanair? Kids go free. Have you seen that one? Keeps them quiet. Keeps them quiet. Now, what is the main job of an airline? What is the main job of an airline? Well, this is very interesting, you see, because if you perceive in business your main job is making money, you'll have a very different mindset. So, what is the main job of an airline? Is it making money, or does money come from doing great things for customers? See, this is part of mindset. So what is the main job of an airline?
Landing on time.
Landing on time with you in what state? Alive! But how would you feel about the airline that was caught in the customer care trap about just being smiley and happy all the time? You might be a little worried about that one. So you have to do a great job in a great way. You have to do both. Okay, you have to do both. It's the job you do for your customers, and it's how you treat your customers, customer experience. Now, I tell you, people do worry about safety on an airline a great deal. For example, this young girl, an 8-year-old on a Qantas flight. Dear Captain, my name is Nicola, I'm 8 years old. It's my first flight, but I'm not scared. I like to watch the clouds go by. My mum says the crew is nice. I think your plane is good. Thanks for a nice flight. Don't muck up the landing. Love, Nicola. So please write to Qantas, certainly not to Paul or to me about that. So what about one you feel bad about? What about one you feel bad about?
Ryanair.
Ryanair, yes, yeah. I agree with you. I think they take this making money thing a little bit too far. However, they do make money. The question is it a long-term sustainable business model? But that's a question that we don't know. But what is very interesting, we've got questions about good and bad organisations, okay? The one you feel good about, the one you feel bad about. Waitrose, Ryanair. Why did you feel good and bad? It was the experience, wasn't it? It was the atmosphere, it was the products, it was the packaging. It was all those times you've been ripped off by Ryanair. Nobody said, I love Ryanair, or I hate Ryanair, or I love Waitrose, I hate Waitrose, because of the leaflets, or because of the advertising campaign, or because of the website. What's marketing? What's marketing? So, what I don't feel so good about is Currys. Now, Currys is getting what's known as a kicking on the high street at the moment. It's losing its show. Okay, it's losing its show. It's not doing well. Where are people buying electricals at the moment? Online, on Tinterweb, that's right, and where else? Tesco's, yeah. Now, what is it that Currys have over the internet and Tesco's potentially? It's not price. It's expertise, it's experience, yeah? So if Currys aren't giving you technical knowledge, expertise, a bit of retail therapy, what are they giving you? Well, we've answered the question really, because they're not doing that, are they? And therefore, they're not competing, they're losing their shirt, okay? I worked out this about Currys' customer experience a few months ago. I was in the branch in Derby, where I live. I bought a big flat screen TV for £399, went to pay the checkout, and we got a real computer says no kind of experience. I just got nothing back from the woman behind the checkout, okay? Handed in my card, and as we do when we get nothing back from people in situations, I flipped a little bit. And I said to her, aren't you even going to say thank you? She says, it says thank you on the receipt. Not a great customer experience. So, what are the attitudes to my approach to marketing, which is customer-driven marketing, okay? Well, there are those people who make things happen. And may I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, you are people who make things happen. You are here, rather than watching Waking the Dead, or X Factor 4.7 revisited on ITV 12, or whatever it happens to be at the moment. You are here, you have turned out. Congratulate yourself, because you are making things happen. I suspect that you are the people that least of all need to listen to Paul, Susie and me. The fact that you turned out, anxious for knowledge, makes you people who make things happen. Any footy fans here in this great sporting city? Are we Reds or Blues? Shall we have a punch up later? Now, let's take Sir Alex Ferguson, because of course, whatever else they won last year, they won the Premiership, didn't they? Yeah? Now, do you reckon Sir Alex said to his players this year, done pretty well last season, lads? I don't do his accent. Done pretty well this season, lads, last season. Training? Forget it. Forget training. You're the best at football in this country. Why train? How many businesses think, I don't need to train. Now, if Man United need to train, who is to say they don't need to train? Okay, the best businesses spend more on learning and development than any other business. So there are those who make things happen. I'm delighted that you're out here investing your time and your efforts and your energy in learning. Well done. Take a pat on the back from Paul, from me, from Susie. But there are also those who think they make things happen. Those who watch things happen. Those who wonder what happened. And those who didn't know anything had happened. Okay? Now, one such firm is Rover. Who here drives a Rover? Your lights are on. But it's far too late, the battery will have gone down already if you left them on an hour ago. But do you seriously drive a Rover? You're in a minority here. 1% of us drives a Rover. Now, 1% drives the car which was really the last vestiges of the great British car industry. I have to tell you, madam, Rover did not know anything had happened. Okay? But it's fine that you bought one, you probably got an incredible deal at the end of its life. I worked out Rover didn't know anything had happened about 15 years ago, and I did some mystery shopping for Rover. I called all the dealers with my standard list of questions. I called one dealer and said, I'm thinking of buying the Rover 416, but I've heard the brakes aren't so good. He said, the brakes? That's the least of your problems. Rover did not think about the customer in its design, in its labour relations, in any aspect of its operations for years. If government bailed it out, it would have gone years ago. We, the taxpayer, saved Rover from the inevitable, and in the end, it died. It didn't know anything had happened. So, marketing then, we've discovered, is far too important to be left to Tarquin in the marketing department, okay, with his leaflets and his bog-offs and so on, because it's actually about everything you do. Who's in charge of marketing in your practice? The senior team, the owner, the directors, yeah? Who else is responsible for marketing? Anybody in this room. You are all responsible for marketing, by my definition of real marketing. Now, you've got a number of places you can go with marketing. If you are low on effectiveness, low on spend, you are impoverished. You are going nowhere, I promise you, okay, by definition. If you spend a relatively small amount and get a big bang for the small buck, fantastic, good on you. But very few people have got the wit, the creativity, the ingenuity, the sheer time to be there. People who were there, large parts of the Virgin Group, yes. Anita Roddick, bless her soul, was there with the Body Shop, yeah? Absolutely brilliant. And Anita Roddick used to stand on stage and say, I don't believe in marketing. Well, I never believed Anita Roddick. Of course she believed in running her business from the customer's point of view. She was a listed company. Of course she believed in making a profit, okay? Anita Roddick was a supreme marketer, okay? The worst place to be, actually, worse than impoverished, is marketing trappings. When you've got all the flash, yeah? You've got all the flash, and you haven't got the substance, okay? All mouth and no trousers, it's sometimes called, up in Lancashire. But the point is that you're wasting money there. You're wasting money there because you might have the best ads, but actually, are you open for business? What if people respond to the ad? Do you answer the phone? Will you fit them in? Will you close the shop because it's 5:30 and you want to get home for your tea, rather than dealing with that last patient who's desperate, that 5 o'clock, 29 minutes and 49 seconds. You know, sorry, we're closing, goodbye. That's not on. The steady place to be is relationship marketing, okay, where you spend and you're effective, but you spend on marketing in all its forms, okay, because by my definition, you should be spending an awful lot more than 5% on marketing, because marketing is so many different things in your practice. So many different things in your practice, which we'll come on to see. Now, who knows who's on board this, this vessel here, this catamaran? Who knows who's on board this? Ellen MacArthur. Now, Dame Ellen MacArthur. She is one brave woman, isn't she? She's a brave woman. How many of you would sail single-handed around the world in a boat built by B&Q? Well, of course, B&Q didn't build it, did they? They didn't build it, but they sponsored it. So every night on TV and in the newspapers, etc., and all their PR machinery, they were making great play on this wonderful venture that they'd sponsored, yes? So what were they saying with that sponsorship? It was shorthand for what? We're organised. We're logistical giants. We are world class. Fantastic. Expectations raised sky high, which is wonderful until this letter comes into the B&Q Customer Service Centre. Congratulations to B&Q on getting a yacht to leave the UK on the 28th of November 2004, sailed 27,354 miles around the world and arrived back 72 days later. Could you please let me know when the kitchen I ordered 96 days ago will be arriving from your warehouse 13 miles away? So the enemy, the trappings, is when you raise expectations sky high, but you fail to deliver. And that, you know, you're doing the easy bit of marketing. Because the easy part of marketing is promotion, advertising, selling. But actually, you've got to deliver. You've got to deliver. So here we are then. Has anyone recently sent off their young darling to university to study marketing or business? No? Far more sensible. Who studied optometry at Bradford University? Fantastic. Well, they're all on the bright side. What's going on? Now, I studied business at Bradford University about 25, 30 years ago. And while you were all doing your 36 hours lectures a week, I was doing about 3 hours a week, and I will now take you through my course, okay? Because in 3 years, I studied those 3 things. 1 year for each box, okay? We don't really tax the business students too much, do we? So year 1, target market selection. Year 2, marketing mix selection. Year 3, differential advantage. Now that's what I call a degree. Okay. Target market selection, okay, so let's kick on with that. The mindset of the marketer is you understand your market and you understand the different elements of your market. And in posh business speak, this is called segmentation. Okay, we segment our market. We do not try to be all things to all customers. Because if we do that, we will end up not being very much to everybody. Okay, we need to be a great deal to a few. Okay. Who knows what this is? Well, I'll tell you. It's an Irish pub. It's a real Irish pub in Irish Ireland. Yes, it's an Irish pub. And the reason I mention that is if you want a lesson on segmentation, have a look at the pubs. Have a look at the retail brewers. Okay? Half their money is earned from food. Yeah? How many of you have diversified so successfully as that? Because aren't you in the fashion business as well as the health business? Yes? Shouldn't you be selling some of those handbags to go with these wonderful spectacles? But the point is here, pubs are available for every different colour, yeah? Now, the cheapest pub on the high street? Wetherspoons, yeah? They could be argued to be the Specsavers of the drinking world. But, you know, many other pubs are full all the time. Some people won't go to Wetherspoons because, you know, they want something different out of life. So the point is, segment your market. Segment your market. Select the right aspect for you, yeah? Segmenting patients, there are some of the things that you can do. How they will use the product, their age, their sex, their mobility. Now, there is a group of people in this country which is expanding in number more than any other. Age, mobility, yes, the older person, it's growing phenomenally, yeah, it's growing phenomenally, yeah. Now, how many of you are doing mobile services, for example? Or if someone phones up and says mobile, you kind of look down the telephone at them and say, you must be joking. I'm not doing that for anybody. But you know, when jobs are a little bit hard to come by in the sector, you can open up a mobile practice, create a job, let someone else run the mobile business for you. Because this sector is growing, I definitely know that. NHS status, interests, psychographics, how people think, lifestyle. So they're all the different possible segmentations, yeah? So people break their market down and decide which one to serve. Now, speaking of that pub there, I was in Ireland recently, yeah? It was about 2:30 in the afternoon. I walked into the pub. The beer was warm. No one would talk to me. And they just finished serving lunch. Turns out it was an English theme pub. Now, what about marketing mix? That's the second. You know, we've done our first year. Okay, let's move on to the second year of our degree. What tools do you have in your marketing tool bag or toolbox? Hit me with some marketing tools that you have. Waking the dead, did I say earlier? Bit louder? SWOT analysis, yeah, that's a business analysis tool. You can define your strengths and weaknesses and your opportunities and threats. But you can have strong strengths and weaknesses across this range of the marketing mix. So that's an analysis tool, certainly. Okay, well, let me help you out here. You've got what we call the 7 Ps, okay? This is simply a taxonomy of all your marketing armory, okay? So you've got product and service, which you call your spectacles, contact lenses, your opening hours, all those things, your price, your promotion. Yes, you're right about promotion, but it's one of 7 tools. It's not the be-all and end-all, okay? The place where you do business. As Susie has eloquently described how you can build a better place to do business. But it's also the internet as well, because it's your distribution channel. It's actually if you decide to do any mobile services, yeah? People, I think, in your business, which is about a service business, how you treat people, are actually your most important marketing tool. Your processors, who gets their spectacles on time. The people who shout loudest, or have you got brilliant business processes to see the patient through in a seamless way all the way through the process? Physical evidence is also part of your display. It's how you dress, it's your cleanliness, it's your hygiene, because people will use that as a tangible clue. You've all chosen a business based on appearance only. Hairdressers, restaurants, you name it. Yeah? Are you up to date? Well, how does your patient know you're up to date unless they see signs of tangible evidence in your practice? Now, I was in the doctor's waiting room last week, reading a magazine. It's a dreadful shame about that Titanic, isn't it? Seriously, do you have newspapers? Brand new every day? Fantastic, well done. Magazines? I read a motoring magazine in the opticians, and I'm really looking forward to the launch of the new Ford Capri. You know, be up to date, because if your magazine's up to date, people don't think you're up to date, okay? So there we are, second year of university complete, the marketing mix. Some of you, anyone else studied marketing before, perhaps been on an MBA or a postgrad qualification? Yes, thank you very much. So you might remember the 4 P's of marketing. Letting people know that you've got the right product at the right price in the right place. But the 7 P's reflect the fact you're a service business, the process, the people, the physical evidence. So there we are, we move smoothly into the final year. Smoothly into the final year, differential advantage. Why should I buy from you rather than from anyone else? There has to be a reason, okay? There has to be a reason. And as a young consultant 25 years ago, I remember going up to North Wales, yes, and I worked with a metal bashing company called JB Fabrications. And I asked Joe Broderick, who ran this company, I asked him this question: why should your customers buy from you rather than from anyone else? And he said, well, we've got a drawing office. I said, is that different? He said, no. He said, you've got to have one in our business. So, okay, carry on. Why should I buy from you rather than from anyone else? He said, well, we're price competitive. I said, are you 10, 15% cheaper than your competition? He said, no, we're competitive. Well, you're the same. Carried on. He said, well, we're open on a Saturday. Is that different? Everyone, and it was just, I had to push him. And in the end, he said, well, Richard, he said, I suppose we're no worse than anybody else. And I said, that's fantastic, Joe, because when we come out of this program at the other end and do some advertising, we've got a campaign, haven't we? JB Fabrications, we're no worse than anybody else. And if that is your statement, your campaign, your identity, then you may as well just go and buy or sell a raffle ticket, because it will be pure luck. Okay, it will be pure luck. I want you to be the red umbrella in the sea of blue. And bearing in mind that some of you compete with each other, it's a challenge. But nobody said this was easy. Okay, if it was easy, you wouldn't need to be here, would you? You'd all be absolutely fantastic at it already. So there we are. We've got our marketing degree, okay? And do you know something? In this country, sometimes we say businesses that have done well, they're lucky, aren't they? They're lucky. But every business that's done well, you know what it's done? It's selected a target market. How lucky was that? It's put together a marketing mix to suit the needs and requirements of every single one of its target market. That was lucky, wasn't it? And do you know what? It's come up with a reason why its customers should buy from it rather than from anyone else. It's done all those 3 things in an organised, researched, business-like fashion. Wow, how lucky. Yeah? So if you want to get lucky, do those 3 things. So marketing and promotion in context then, because we started off a little while ago saying marketing equals promotion. Well, there you go, there's the context. Advertising, publicity, sales promotion, personal selling are part of the marketing mix. But as you told me, without any prior briefing, you love Waitrose because of the atmosphere, the experience, packaging the products. You hate Ryanair because they're ripping you off. Yeah, you didn't mention anything in the green box. Now, if you go on to do any postgraduate qualifications, it gets a little bit more difficult. And this is the kind of thing you're thinking about. To be a bullfighter, first you must learn to be a bull. So, many people pass out of universities, many people pass out at university. But many people pass out of universities with marketing degrees, and they're not all Steve Jobs, I promise you. Okay, they're not all inventing iPods. They're just, can be pretty average marketeers. There is no correlation, as far as I'm aware, between an MBA and wealth. yeah? However, the better ones go on to what we call customer insight. They understand how to be a bull, yeah, if they're going to be bullfighters. And there are three big questions I'll kind of introduce you to now. Who buys? How do they buy? Why do they buy? Who here buys breakfast cereal? Do you prefer Toy Story 2 on your packet or Rugrats? Not bothered? No. So why are they on there then? Kids, yeah. How many of you, mind you, we are in Manchester, Salford, how many of you make your kids save up their own pocket money to buy their own cereals? We were in Surrey last week, nobody did. You don't hear either, do you? So, we kind of get over this thing in marketing. We recognise it's not who buys, the customer, it's the decision-making unit. Yeah, it's the decision-making unit. So different people are involved in influencing, in paying. And kids actually have a huge influence on many, many purchases. What do you do for kids in your practice? Yeah, what do you do for them? Have they got reading materials? Have they got toys? Have they got Guitar Hero? Actually, you could actually improve your sales by having Guitar Hero World Tour in there for kids to come and play. You'd be famous. You'd be famous, yeah? How do people buy? Well, problem recognition, information search, evaluation, product choice, post-purchase reaction. That's an organised process, yeah? It's almost as though marketing's becoming a proper degree again, isn't it? But people go through these problems. What triggers the problem recognition? Understand that before you write your advertising check. What causes information search? Understand that before you write your advertising check. How do people evaluate? They make their choice, but they continue in the brown box to have a reaction after they bought. So customer experience continues to be very, very important. Why do people buy? Not saying anyone truly understands this, but it's not just a rational approach. It's cultural, it's sociological, and it's economic, okay? But what business are you guys in? What business are you guys in? You are in the healthcare business. You are in the fashion business. You're in a very complex business. But fundamentally, I believe you're in a great business because you're protected. So make advantage of that. But whatever the reasons are, individual psychological factors play a role. People buy people. How good are you at the psychological factors? How good are you at building rapport? More of that later. But, let's just think about this, what business you're in. What have we got here? Tony and Guy Opticians, yeah? Tony and Guy Opticians. The fashion business coming to the healthcare business. Shouldn't you be heading back from healthcare towards fashion? But it's about doing a great job in a great way. So when I saw this, I was attracted by this sign because it was on a very, very busy Saturday in the centre of Nottingham, and the streets were heaving. The streets were heaving. Yeah? Let's look at that. Let's look at that sign. Unforeseen. How ironic. Now, that is not good enough, folks. And if any of you ever put on a sign on your window saying, back in 5 minutes, you deserve everything you get, let alone all those poor unfortunate patients. Can you imagine someone who's going out for dinner that night, come to pick up their 300 quid Tony and Guy specs? Do you think they're going to email Nottingham at Tony and Guy Opticians? They'll be gone. They'll be gone. Their reputation will be damaged, seriously. So, you've got to get serious about this stuff. So, marketing comes from the word market, obviously. So, factors affecting the market. Sale of goods continues to subsidise site tests. We know that. Now, some of you may be charging 60 quid for a site test, perhaps extending for an hour's appointment. Good on you. Fantastic, brilliant, well done. Some of you might be charging 20, 25 pounds and feeling very concerned that actually that's half the proper rate for your professional services. And isn't it dreadful? Well, we recommend the sumo strategy. Shut up and move on. Okay, because that's life. Okay, you've just got to deal with it. And it's actually the total revenue that gets piled into your business that really counts, not just the individual site test fee. Up in Scotland, we know that site tests are all paid for, but the government's bust, and it ain't going to happen here soon. So just get used to building in site test fees appropriately to attract patients. Yes, expansion, growth and consolidation, it will keep coming. The T word is in town, Tesco, so it's going to get serious now. okay, because Tesco only do things very, very seriously, and this is going to happen. We heard earlier about the number of practices up for sale, and that may include you guys here, but definitely competition will only get stronger, it will only get fiercer. So what we're discussing tonight is really, really important. Contact lenses, yes, they're going to become less and less professionalised and more retailed as technology allows that. Laser eye surgery, I think that's starting to take off. I think it's very, very early days relative for laser eye surgery. Will it take a significant share off you? Well, I don't think massive, but at the margins, are you involved in that sector? Have you got really good ophthalmologists you work with to recommend and advise people? Because just like Curry's, you need to be a source of advice, but actually good advice, yeah? Vision 2020 is the government sight care strategy. Are you familiar with it? Are you understanding that? Do you understand the PR opportunities that come from that and the business opportunities that come from that? Demographic changes, we've been there, haven't we? The older group expanding massively, and they've got special needs which you can focus on, deal with. Why not offer a free taxi service to pick people up? That's actually good business because relative to the cost of the sale, that's probably pretty good business. Mobile services as well, I think something that you, either if you don't do it yourself, get a partnership and earn some money because you will earn more money by offering mobile than by not offering it. Digital marketing's here, folks, digital marketing. And I see a lot of people about my age, it's a badge of pride that they don't know how to use a computer. That's absolute nonsense, folks. If you work with anyone like that, please help them, educate them. I mean, do they come to work on a pony and trap and think it's clever? Of course they don't. Get real, folks, because if you're not up to date with the digital age, you have a serious business disadvantage. And customer experience is more important than price, okay? Customer experience is more important than price. So let's just have a look at what's happened to you guys recently. 2003 to 2007, the blue is the sales of all optical goods in the UK, the red is the retail price index, so certainly you've had some good times. You've shot ahead of what's been a pretty high growth economy. If you'd been really good at financials, you'd have all that margin banked away to deal with the difficult times now. But, you know, as Paul suggested, many of us don't treat this like a serious business, yeah? It's perhaps a job or a hobby or something like that. So instead of banking the money for the inevitable rainy day, you've spent it on cheeky weekends in Bognor Regis and all the rest of it, okay? So, you know, we are where we are, but generally speaking, you will be more protected from the market than most because of your healthcare situation. Sight test fees, well, revenue's gone up. We're not quite sure about the Scottish effect, but even before I think the Scottish free sight test came in, the gap is growing there. So generally speaking, what I'm saying is it's a pretty buoyant marketplace, really. That hasn't gone into steep decline. It might be a little bit tougher than it was, but it's certainly a manageable business. Some businesses are an absolute carnage. You're not in that at all. Good state of mind, good mindset. You've certainly got plenty of business out there. And with some of the ideas we're giving you, you can get much more share. The big boys, there's the numbers, okay, and it illustrates probably that a lot of the chains in Paul's chart are actually here, because the chain could be 3, 4, 5 practices. But what I really like to get at here is these boys are pretty serious, okay, they're pretty serious, okay, and consolidation will happen, it will happen. It happens in most markets, that people look for economies of scale. Why are they so powerful? Because of this thing called the unit cost curve. If you do something a lot, you get better at it, don't you? And these people are doing things a lot. They're getting economies of scale from massive buying power. They're getting economies of skill from having huge numbers of people through their business processes. So their costs go down, yeah, and they get the double whammy of being big. They get low costs, high sales revenue. In other words, their return on investment is geometric because they've got big market share, okay? It's a double whammy. They're getting more sales, lower costs, bigger margin, okay? So clear message, do not compete on price. Some of you might be able to do that, actually. Some of you might be able to do that, but the general message is don't compete on price, compete on value. Because if you think you're going to chase them on price, you're going to knock your prices down by 10%. Their costs are at least 10% lower than yours, I promise you. And do you know something? Let's say your margin is 50% gross. It might be bigger than that in many cases, I know that. But let's say your margin is 50% gross. If you drop your prices by 10%, how much more product do you need to sell to stand still? Do you know that? Drop your price by 10%, 25%. If your sales come down by 10% with 50% margin, you need to sell 25% more to make that price promotion pay back. So, as they say, sales are vanity, profit is sanity. Okay? Now, this is Porter's generic, which is one of the other useful things you can learn at university business school. Okay? Michael Porter, Harvard professor, suggests that the average market profit is the difference between the average market sale and the average market cost. Okay? How do you increase that gap and therefore get more profit than the next guy? You increase sales revenue, price, or you decrease cost. Porter says do not try and do both. Be big on price or be big on value added, bells and whistles, okay? Because if you do both, your mindset will always be difficult, okay? If you're a low cost player, do you get in all the latest magazines and newspapers? No, you don't, because that's not low cost. If you're bells and whistles, you do. But if you try and do both, you'll never do one really that well. Yes, manage your costs wisely, but you don't just try and be a low-cost operator. So here we are, some examples. EasyJet, broad market player versus a narrow focus market. Cost focus, differentiator. And what Porter said was get yourself into one of those boxes, otherwise you will be stuck in the middle, okay? So the two dimensions, cost focus or differentiator, narrow market or broad market. Get into one of those four boxes. Now, I don't know whether Doug and Mary Perkins went on an MBA all those years ago, but what did they notice? There were no opticians in the top left-hand box. Porter's prediction came true. It was a hugely successful place to be. Now we find Glasses Direct in the narrow cost-focused business. Vision Express is the broad differentiator. And really, you guys, generally speaking, you've got to be differentiators. For all sorts of reasons we've discovered, price is not really the thing to compete on, yeah? Unless you've got some great supply chain somewhere or some, manage your costs wisely, but don't big up on it. Now, some good news here is Keynote did a survey in 2008 thinking about attitudes to eye care and opticians, which, if any of the following statements apply to you. So from this, we've got a little bit of insight into what people are saying. Now, I need to unravel some of this for you, because there's a significant increase in tendency to choose an optician for knowledgeable staff and a tidy, hygienic environment, what you call the lovely atmosphere at Waitrose, yeah? Price is becoming increasingly important, and actually the eye test fee discourages regular testing, okay? Not amongst everybody, okay? Certain segments it will do, so don't be too disheartened by that. But the middle ground there, that deserves some explanation. Because Paul and I are really urging you not to compete on price. However, price is becoming more important. What they're really saying is value is becoming more important. They will not write a blank check, okay? So there are plenty of people out there, about 80% of the market, that will not just buy on price. They will buy on fashion, they will buy on service, but not at any price. Not at any price. If we look at some of the numbers here, this is great news for you because that's gone up, okay? Are you all knowledgeable? Are you tidy, hygienic, and very good looking in the way that Susie has described, yeah? Are you really good at that? Because people will make judgments about how you deliver service based on how you look. Price is getting a little bit more important. In other words, value is getting more important. And look at this one. I use or would prefer to use smaller local opticians for my eye care needs. 57%. Now, what was the market share that Paul said you guys had? Just under 40%? That means that some people cannot buy from you when they want to, because you might have that sign up that I showed you from Tony and Guy, or the sales prevention officer is in charge of service, yes? You're not open for business. Get yourselves open for business. Compete, okay? Now, I'm not going to show you the rest of the figures, because if you email Paul, we'll send you all this stuff out, okay? But what I do want to pick on is this. Take heart. 57% of all adults I use or would prefer to use smaller local opticians for my eye care needs. Okay, So 57% is a huge group of people for you to go at. Females, even higher than 57%. Young and old people, even higher. Some segmentation clues for you there. If we go around the social grades, E. E includes students as well as people who are less well off. What are you doing for students, folks? What are you doing for students? Have you got a student-based offer? Get it out there. Regions, okay? No great news from the Northwest, but just, a tiny bit above 57. So the 57 applies to you. I don't think that difference is statistically significant, but it's not like Scotland, where they really are into the change, yeah? So take heart from those numbers. Working status, not working, retired, invalid, yeah? They're more than 57%. And here we don't get separated. So I think the conclusion from that is single site testing parties. Look at that recommender one there, children. What did we hear about earlier? School children. School children, big segment that you could get into. All kinds of reasons why children should be wearing sunglasses in the playground. If you've got a partnership with your local school. Many of you will have children at schools. Get into the PTA, do a deal with them. Even supply the things at cost, because it starts to get your name around, you'll get more bookings. So my recommendations to you folks, create a clear and congruent brand. Do not be all things to all men. Differentiate. Automate. Yes, automate. Get in that practice management system and use it. Be price competitive, but don't compete on price. Do you understand the difference? Yeah? Don't have silly, mad prices unless you really are a true specialist offering very long appointments. Don't create good customer experience. Create phenomenal customer experience. Work smarter promotion. Do digital marketing. Monitor your finances. Get comfortable with financials. Monitor finances, campaigns, and customer satisfaction. And ask yourself, first and foremost, are you an optician or are you an entrepreneur? I don't mind what the answer is. There is no right answer. But the point is, you will reap the fruits of your position, your mindset. If your mindset is optician, it's a very different mindset to entrepreneur, I promise you. Okay, so let's just run through a little bit of detail here. Create a clear and congruent brand. Don't be all things to all men, okay? That's a brand. A brand is not a logo. A brand is not popping down to the graphic designer and just getting a nice shop fit out unless you behave appropriately, unless your products match the wonderful environment that Susie's created for you, yeah? Unless your environment matches that idea, and yes, your communications match that idea. So a brand is fundamentally having a clear position in the market and living it through all four quadrants, okay? That's how you differentiate yourself. Now, that is to me just a classic high street independent. It's completely stuck in the middle. It's not sure what to be or how to be it, okay? And in fact, since that photo was taken, it's one of the closures. It's one of the closures. It could not compete in the high street. No clear offer. Susie could have taken that photo, couldn't it? We've got the person there in the window. We've got the horrible tacky posters. We've got the sale. We've got the discount. And actually, they didn't even spell ophthalmic properly in the window. Yeah, you can't see that from there. So that's just a classic going nowhere. Get yourself a clear position and start targeting some special segments within that position. Automate, automate, automate. Practice management systems are not expensive. You can get web-based practice management systems now for £100 odd a month. Yeah? You don't have to necessarily buy the £3,000, £5,000, £7,000 product. Use it, because if you're going to get hundreds and thousands of patients through your doors, you need to be doing reminders. You need to be automating your processes to bring your management costs down. Whoops, how do we get rid of that? There we go. Be price competitive, but don't compete on price. I think we've done that one to death. Remember, at a 50% margin, if you drop your price by 10%, you need to sell 25% more just to stand still, okay? Create phenomenal customer experience, and I mean phenomenal, because that's what it takes on the high street, okay? That's what it takes on the high street. What if Carlsberg do what you do? What if Carlsberg do what you do? Yeah? It will be what? Probably the best. What's to stop you being the best? back, lift your head from the counter, anticipate the reader approaching you. Have a little chat, use the name on the card, maybe talk about the book, check the book in very gently, politely, have an appropriate comment, okay? Not a sickly, cheesy comment, an appropriate one. If there's a long queue, keep the queue moving, don't be rude, but be pleasant. If someone wants to chat and there's no major queue, have a chat. On day 1 and day 2, we measured the lighting, the heating, the attitude of the staff, the quality of the books. Could you find your way around easily? And how likely are you to return? What scored differently in the scores between day 1 and day 2? Day 1, poor service, day 2, great service. What scored better? Fantastic. Go to the top of the class. Everything scored better. The lighting was better. The heating was better. The books were better. Yeah? Because doing a great job in a great way, the customer doesn't actually doesn't dissect it. They just see one great big experience, yeah? So you've got to do all the elements there. You've got to do all the elements. Now here, this is part of customer experience as well, these practice hours. Monday 9 till 5:30, Tuesday 9 till 5:30, Wednesday 9 till 5, Thursday 9 till 5:30. What happens if you turn up at 25 plus 5 on a Wednesday? Tough, isn't it? Yeah, it's tough. And people are going to, I'm telling you now. They're going to. And what will they do? They'll be damned annoyed. And you could lose them. Because there's too much variation in there. That is being run for the benefit of the person who's running the practice. Marketing is about running your practice for the benefit of your customers. So think everything through your patient's eye. Be very, very challenging about yourselves. How many of you have ever paid full price for a sight test or spectacles, in recent times? Yeah? Next time you go on that cheeky weekend to Bognor Regis, book in for a sight test. Go through the experience through the patient's eyes. Pardon the pun. Okay, how is it? What are the little things actually you think are fantastic, the patient thinks are rubbish? Yeah? Try it out. Share the customer's pain. Now, if you raise your retention by 5 percentage points in what is actually a pretty high margin business, you will make disproportionately more profit, I promise you. Okay? So automation will help you keep your customers, because actually, reminders are really, really helpful. Great experience will help you keep your customers. You will make more money. Work smarter promotion, do digital marketing, okay? Selling, direct mail, PR, digital marketing, advertising, all forms of promotion, okay? Selling, to me, is the most important revenue builder. And totally agree with Paul, do not employ a load of double-glazing salespeople to come and sell product. But the process starts in or before the test group, okay? If times are a bit tough, increase the appointment time and have the professional spending more time through the sales process. Because to use the jargon, what happens is you build a great rapport in the test group, you hand over to another person, no matter how brilliant that other person is, rapport goes back to zero, start again. What we call, you break the state. You actually let people off the hook a little bit, okay? Because at that moment they can say, well actually, I've got to get off. Yeah. And they step back out of commitment. So try and stay with people more. It's about communication skills, and good communicators sell more products, I promise you. Rapport is really, really important. If you do nothing else, get yourself on a rapport course. Okay, get yourself on a building rapport course. Are you as good as you can be at selling? I dare say the answer to that is no. Direct mail success. How good is your database? Yeah? Do you send a reminder? Have done, or do you send 2, 3, 4 mailings? How creative are your mailings? Yeah? Are they a very technical letter? Or are you sending postcards? Are you sending first aid covers? Are you sending really compelling reasons why people should come into you? Sign every letter in blue. There's no excuse if you're a bit quieter, but there's certainly no excuse from not buying a really good colour printer with a blue signature. It looks personal. Oh, and by the way, you're sending them out second class to save a few quid. Dreadful, dreadful. Because if you write to your patient second class, they'll think, not that important, put it to one side. First class stamp, please. Yeah? Or even better, are you SMS texting your people? Are you emailing your people? Because that's the way some of them will want to do business. How do you know? You ask them. You're actually helpful for really busy people because they hate getting letters. They love texting. They love emails. Garbage in, garbage out, yeah? You only get the outcomes you deserve. Offers work. If anyone thinks offers are down market, just give American Express a little ring, okay? American Express do tons of offers, and yes, your copywriting matters. Reminders of direct mail, folks. Go on a direct mail course. Speak to your business link, speak to Paul, get on some direct mail sales training. PR, journalists are lazy, yeah? Give them some stories. If you can write well, which I'm sure most of you can, fantastic, yeah? Find some stories. Interesting stuff will happen to you, but it's really about the people. It's really about the people. Do you know the old one? Dog bites man, no story. Man bites dog, big story, yeah? So try and find something different. And you've got loads of material. Read that Vision 2020 strategy. Look into educational eye care. Great stories there. And apply the who gives a you-know-what test. Yeah, because it's got to be interesting to the reader. Digital marketing. The internet changes everything for some businesses and some things for all businesses. Get into digital. Do you know what SEO is? Yeah? If you don't know what it is, you're certainly not doing it. Search engine optimization. Yeah? Because some websites are easier to find than others. I got a nod over there. Well done. Do you know what Google Analytics is? Great, fantastic. A free service to see how well your website's doing. If you don't know, then Google Analytics. If you don't know what Googling is, help! Email and SMS your patients, as I've covered, okay? Designing your ads. Please don't get the Manchester Evening News to do your ads, or the Bolton Bugle, or wherever you're from. It'll just look like everybody else's. Same principles that Susie's applied to graphic design, please. Yes? Okay? And sometimes advertising just really works well for you, doesn't it? So that bus driver certainly should have had his eyes tested. So there you go, folks. Monitor finances, campaigns, and customer satisfaction. When did you last ask your customer's opinion of your business? Yeah, it's certainly worth a Sitecare independent survey. Okay, but I'll tell you what, that is independent. But you know something else? What I call a cuddle call. Phone people up the day after and say, "How are your specs?" You won't necessarily get a great feedback on your service, but they'll think, "Wow, it'll blow the socks off." Yeah, particularly people who may be new into varifocals or new into contact lenses. Cuddle them. Give them a cuddle call. Great customer experience. Certainly get involved in the survey. And remember, ask yourself, are you first and foremost an optician or an entrepreneur? Because the mindset of the entrepreneur is very different to the mindset of the optician. As I said earlier, there is no right answer to that question. There is no right answer. It's what you're comfortable with. But I tell you, whichever you decide, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. Thank you very much.